Glenn Gabe's rapid fire insights on Google's core update. New integration from GoDaddy allows merchants to show inventory across Google. New search editorial content policies for job postings are coming soon. You are listening to News on the Edge for the week of July 19th, 2021, here on Edge of the Web Radio.
From the Edge of the Web studios, here's what we're looking at this week.
This is Edge of the Web Radio. I'm your host, Morty Oberstein, filling in for Aaron Sparks. Every week, we bring you amazing guests to chat about trending digital marketing topics. Each week, we're covering the SEO and digital marketing news, separate from our weekly interview, getting more news to you even quicker. Aaron, even quicker. Be sure to check out our recent shows at edgeofthewebradio.com. Welcome to the Site Strategic Digital Marketing News Desk of Edge of the Web. Thank you, Aaron, again for making the longest name possible to welcome people to. Joining me this week is a very, very special guest. I purposely did this when Aaron wasn't here to make him jealous. This is Aaron. This is what happens when you abandon your own podcast. He is the king of SEO. If you don't know who he is, how could you possibly not know who he is? He basically is the overseer of this podcast, because without him, there wouldn't be any, because we cover his news each and every week here on the Edge of the Web News Radio, whatever we call it, podcast. He is Barry Schwartz.
Thanks for having. I appreciate it. I do appreciate everything you do, especially that microphone. I mean, it looks like it's from like the 1940s. So
Wait,
thank you for having that.
It is. Are you kidding? Eisenhower used this microphone. So I have a problem. So I have 4 children and none of them are quiet. And I can't use a condenser mic because all you hear is screaming. So I have to use this dynamic mic. It looks like I'm a lead singer. I like to think I'm a lead singer of a rock band with this thing. But I guess
you do. I mean, you look
Dwight
like
Eisenhower.
a rock star. Yeah, you do. I think you should. Yeah, I use AirPods. I just shaved so you can see them better, but usually you don't see them too well. And I think they work pretty well, although I don't have screaming children in the background because I work in an actual office, which is weird these days, but I do work in an office.
Are you trying to demean me by saying I don't work in an actual office? This is my office. I built an office for myself to work at home.
You got to soundproof the doors, I guess.
I'm not any worse than you are in your fancy office.
Yeah, you are. You are.
Yeah, that's.
You want to see my internet speed? I got gigabit.
Yeah, no. Okay, no. I've seen your internet speed, and I'm embarrassed to compare mine to yours. This is gonna go to a terrible place. But yeah, I've seen you 150 million gazillion megabytes of download, whatever, and I have like 50 on a good day, even though I pay for 100.
How do you think I publish so much?
I thought you just hired other people from the Philippines.
No. Just about the fast internet.
Oh, is that what it is? But how does it help with the fingers typing quickly?
Don't question my methods. It just works. Just trust me.
Fair enough. Okay, so let's get into the news. We got a bunch of stuff to cover this week. Coming at you, number 1 this week is from the illustrious Glenn Gabe. Big fan of the show, big fan of the Yankees. So I'm a big fan of Glenn's. G Squad Interactive, Google's July 2021 broad core update, rapid fire insights from the summer of 2 core algorithm updates. In this post, Glenn Gabe looks at the findings based on the July 2021 broad core update and its sibling core update that rolled out in June. There are many sites that saw impact both during the broad core updates, so Glenn documents what he's seeing across both. So in case you were, again, living under a rock, Glenn Gabe always puts out a really, really good piece outlining the impact of a broad core algorithm update or a various other sets of updates. In this particular case, he went through all of the various updates that rolled out between June and July. So you're talking 2 spam updates, the Core Web Vitals update, the June core update, the July core update, checking out patterns, what happened, and digging into what happened during each of these updates to the best that he can. One of the cool things that Glenn goes through in the article is reversals from the product review update, which went live in April. showing how there were sites that were not review sites that should not have been impacted. They were actually positively impacted. These non-review sites shot up the SERP based on the product review update, which they shouldn't have because, hey, they're not product review pages. It didn't seem to make sense. Also really interesting, I thought, was that Glenn shows you a bunch of sites that are not unique content sites or pages. For example, lyric pages. And Google has talked about this. He actually quotes John Mueller in the article. When there's not unique content where you just have a lyric from a song and you cannot change the lyrics because then it wouldn't be the song anymore, from one page on one site to another page on another site, it's hard for Google to say, hey, why rank one of these better than the other one? They're both the same thing. And Glenn shows you during this update, during July 2021 core update, how some of these pages were heavily impacted because, again, it's not really unique content. Turning this over to the master of tracking algorithm updates, Barry, what were your thoughts on the July 2021 core update?
Yeah, it's funny. Like, people always ask me, all right, so what do I have to change on my website so that I could like recover from this update or do better from this update? And it's like, I don't report on, I don't think anybody really knows. I mean, these broad core updates are just that. You got to like burn down your whole entire website and start from scratch, and that's it. But
basically,
Glenn covered it very well. He went, it's burned. No, I'm joking. But basically, you could recover. That's the beauty of these things. You definitely can recover from these updates. Hope is not lost, but it does require a lot of, changes to your website. You got to improve your quality of your content. You got to maybe do some navigational structure changes. Glenn has covered this, countless times in terms of what you need to do to improve your website. And it's never one smoking gun, as Glenn says. He's always said it's numerous things. He's quoted Gary from Google saying the baby algorithms, tons of these little baby algorithms that make up these core updates. So it's not really one thing. That's the sad part. Back in the old days, it was like, all right, Florida update or Penguin update or Panda update. And it was like Penguin, all right, I got to fix my links, or it's this, I have to like fix my content, or it's that, I need to remove some of these types of, navigational elements in my website, or remove these types of ads and so forth. But it's not really about that anymore. It's like, you just really have to like think about your website from a broader perspective and say, what do I need to change in my website? And I like how Glenn lays it out, where he goes through different types of sectors and case studies and so forth to show the ups and downs of different types of websites and maybe why those websites went up, maybe why those websites went down. Like you said, the product reviews area is very, very interesting because the product reviews is very similar to the core update from everything we've seen. Mm-hmm. But it actually focuses a lot of those things around sites that write reviews. And sometimes Google could be confused around, the site is not really a review site, but there may be a thing that categorizes that website as a review update. So I always enjoy reading, a lot of what Glenn writes on this. And this post was a lot different. This post was a lot different from his previous post and the way he structured it. Yeah. And I like this format. It's a lot faster, even though it's like pretty long post, but it's still a lot faster. He breaks it down by, obviously the little background around these core updates, when you would see the updates actually happen. So of course I track that very, very closely. And you saw with the July core update, it was like right away, you saw like the next day, like a massive impact from this update. Like it was on July 1st, it was announced, July 2nd, all these tracking tools, including SEMrush and your former company, which we're not going to name, as Rank Ranger, which we did name.
Wix? Rank Ranger. Right.
Rank Ranger, not Wix. Wix, jeez, Wix. We're not going to talk about Wix because Wix is algorithmic proof.
Right.
Anyway,
right.
But you see, so right away you saw on July 2nd, a massive impact there, and then also on July 9th, I believe. And then when, like within 24 hours after Google announced that it's effectively done or complete, that you saw another little kind of change there. And people were like, was there another update on July 12th? Was there another update on July 9th? No, it was probably all related to this core update in terms of how Google rolls it out. And it's very interesting to wonder how they actually roll it out. Like you think about it, why isn't it just everything just impacted on that day when they hit that button and say, bam, this update has been released? Why isn't everything just hit by it? And my theory is that Google does roll it out on July 1st, but it rolls it out on a URL by URL basis. So as Google crawls the internet, it updates whatever scores are around this algorithm update, and multiple scores, not one. So all these like new singles get updated on a URL by URL basis. So usually people's home pages might be hit before maybe their deeper pages with this type of update. So yeah, it was July 2nd and 9th and maybe the 12th for the July core update. And then June, it was a lot longer. It took like a 3-day rollout in terms of having really
that was
high...
weird because they announced it and there was this weird pause between seeing any changes in the rankings and they're announcing, which usually doesn't happen. Usually it's boom right away.
So, yeah, and I kind of had a fight, internet fight with Glenn about that. We've actually seen it happen, I think, at least once before. I'm like, and Glenn's really on top of this stuff. And he's like, I don't think we ever saw this happen before. And then I pulled a Glenn. I did like, no, Glenn, we did see this before. And I sent him a tweet or something from like 5 years
Aberration.
ago. Like
one time, 5 years ago. First of all, only you would remember that. But that's amazing in its own right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes.
I like that Glenn, by the way, he shows you the reversals, which I think is a mistake that people make. We're like, oh, I'm stuck. This is the world is over. I'll never get out of this. And you see, you're going back to the December 2020 core update. You see the reversal from the June and July update is a reversal of the December 2020 core update. Or you'll see, by the way, and that's why it makes sense to wait for the rollout to finish, because you're right. I think Google does. I think they've said this, right? Where it takes a while to crawl everything, but there are also a set of sites that end up getting hit initially and then reversed subsequently towards the end of the update as well. So it definitely pays to be a little bit patient and don't freak out, which I know is hard because if you are impacted and that does impact your bottom line, it's hard not to freak out. But I think it pays not to freak out. I'm saying don't freak out. Nobody freak out. I'm going to head over to article. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
It's what
I'm cutting off.
No, I don't know if you read that other Schwartz in the SEO space, Eli Schwartz.
My cousin, of course.
Exactly. So he wrote a piece of TechCrunch and stuff like that, and he's like something like "Don't freak out" and stuff like that. Of course, don't freak out. But I gave him he's like, I've never seen a site. He's like never seen a site that like actually got hit by one of these big updates. I'm like, come on.
What?
Really? I mean, and what if your site gets hit by a core update? My site got hit by a core update. I'm not freaking out because I
remember
care.
that. Yeah, but you got reversed.
I got reversed. I think I got it again. I'm not even sure.
But what's funny is you got reversed, but you didn't do anything. By the way, that's also a pattern, and it sucks if this happens to you. I've seen this many, many times where you're part of the update pattern. For whatever reason, you get hit. The next one you get reversed. The next one you might get hit again, or you might skip an update. Then the next one you get hit again. I don't know why Google does that, and it kind of sucks if you're stuck in that little, I don't know, channel of update rhythm. But it definitely happens. All right, on to article number 2. This one is from Caroline at Search Engine Land. New GoDaddy integration lets merchants easily show inventory across Google. After announcing its integration with Shopify at Google I/O, Google also promised easy connections to Squarespace, WooCommerce, and GoDaddy. Funny that they start with GoDaddy, but anyway, the latest integration with GoDaddy has officially launched. Google merchants can now get discovered across search, shopping, image search, and YouTube in just a few clicks, wrote Matt Madrigal. I hope I said that right. VP/GM of Merchant Shopping. In and of itself, we talked about this before the show, Barry. I don't think it's so interesting that now GoDaddy has this integration. Wonderful. What I think is interesting is that you saw this announced officially with Shopify, smart marketing move by Google on that end, and now you're seeing it roll out to the other CMSs. By the way, where the hell is Wix? Come on, Wix, get with it. But it's interesting to see because I think it speaks to Google trying to show themselves to be a source of commerce on the web. With obviously, if you're going to have your products listed there, Google's going to be more significant to you. And it sort of pits Google against Amazon in a funny kind of way. I'm wondering what your take is, Barry. Do you think Google can really ever compete with Amazon? Or does Google even think that they can?
First question, probably no. Second question, yes. I mean, Google's been trying to compete with them for a while. They did this obviously with Frugal, and then they've done it when they released the paid version of Google Shopping. Then they said, you know what, we stink at this. For COVID reasons, we're going to make Google Shopping free for merchants.
Right, COVID reasons.
COVID reasons, we're being generous with our search engine. But reality is if this strategy works where Google Shopping is like free, and now what they're trying to do is integrate with all these CMS providers, like you said, GoDaddy, Shopify, WooCommerce, not Wix, to get
Squarespace even
into everybody, but keep Wix out.
Everybody but Wix. Come on, I'm embarrassed.
And they make it free for anybody to integrate with their merchant center and so forth if they want to. Get the products into the Google database, into the Google brain, and then when people do searches for products, it comes up in Google search. Problem is, people their habit is go to Amazon.com, especially if they're Prime members, which almost everybody is in the US. And I want to buy a new AirPods, charger. I'm not going to Google to search for it. I'm going to Amazon to get it tomorrow. So they have that problem.
Basically.
But I do agree that Google's trying everything and anything in their power to kind of compete with Amazon and take over that the shopping space, so that when they do take it over, which they probably won't, but if they do take it over, they will then start charging heaps and heaps of money for commissions or monthly fees, or probably commissions for every single sale you make, even though now it's free.
So I agree with you, but I don't think at the same time, if you are selling things online, that you should ignore Google Shopping because it's not as big as Amazon, because Google does get a lot of visits to their pages, and there are a lot of PLAs and shopping and a great abundance of them on the SERP. So don't ignore it just because, they're not as big as Amazon. I do think the one place where Google might have an advantage, by the way, really smart of them to open up free shopping listings, because the biggest barrier to competing with Amazon is you just don't have any products. So the easiest way to do that is to open it up for free, then to integrate with the CMSs. So the strategy is kind of obvious and makes sense. But Google has the ability, and by the way, it's so bad. It's the Amazon dominance in my mind is so bad that I use Google to do navigational searches for Amazon, because I find that Amazon search isn't as good as Google's. So if I want something specific, I'm like Wrangler flex waist jeans, blah, 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 and I'll Google it and plus Amazon, and I'll Google it and just navigate over to Amazon. That's how bad it is, in my opinion.
And the truth is, you don't Google, really need to. Sorry.
No.
You need faster internet.
I talk fast enough though to compensate.
That's true. Yeah, but I don't even need. I was going to say you don't even need to put Amazon on that, because Google just ranks Amazon for every single long-term keyword.
Also,
phrase.
yeah, true, totally true. But I think it's interesting where Google has the ability. Amazon doesn't do a good job with this. And Google did start doing this, where they can show data trends, right? Pricing trends for a product, comparative pricing. So you could bet it's sort of what they've done with the travel space, where they have their whole travel site, and I can see how expensive is this flight generally in December, blah, blah, blah. Having that data, having those insights, I do find is really cool and really valuable, so I can make sure I'm getting the best deal. And I do see that being a unique advantage where Amazon, I don't know why they don't do it themselves, but that would be interesting to see how people grab onto that or not. I don't know if they will necessarily, because you still think of Amazon as the dominant person in that space, but it's still cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I have to do an ad now. No, we can edit that out.
Before the ad.
Yeah. Before the ad. Okay.
It's just this awkward delay, so I apologize.
I'm making it awkward. I hear you. I'm just making it awkward on purpose.
Oh, okay. In that case.
Yeah. No, I'm just kidding.
I use this site called camel.com to track Amazon price history. I agree. I don't know why Amazon doesn't have that. Sometimes they will push you a notification if you looked at a product and say the price dropped. Kind of Google did that with Google Now back in the old days. Now it's called Google Assistant, or whatever you want to call it. But Camel is a great way to track stuff that you want to buy in Amazon specifically, and watch their price drop.
There you go. Great tip, straight from Barry Schwartz's mouth. Okay, so now I have to do an ad. We are proud to have Site Strategic as a sponsor of Edge of the Web. Site Strategics are pioneers in agile digital marketing. Their core specialties are technical SEO, including Core Web Vitals, SEM, social media, conversion optimization, results-based marketing that works. They've also developed a unique omni-channel media marketing and content curation process. That's, again, a unique omni-channel media marketing and content curation process guided by their weekly R&D from the Edge of the Web interviews. They incorporate the best techniques for content broadcast strategy and execution. If you're interested in what they can do for you, give Site Strategics a call at 877 SEO for Web, or in numbers, that's 877-736-4932. I feel like I just sold my soul to Site Strategics. Can we go back to the news now, Jacob? Yeah, I did. I'm not even getting paid. Wow. Jeez. Okay. Article number 3 coming from someone we all know, Barry Schwartz. There's never, Jacob, has there ever been a time where we've had a show without an article from Barry? I think not.
There's been one or two, but not many. And there was one where it was all Barry, and that was my favorite thumbnail ever to make, because I normally do slices of the news, and I just put Barry's face in there. It was great.
Oh wait, that's a T-shirt in the back.
Oh yeah, that's Barry's
right. All right, the T-shirt. right. Totally forgot about that. The signed T-shirt.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
And it's framed. Are we Barry? Are you signing anything else and mailing it out, auctioning it off? What about the kids who have cancer? I thought we were doing it for them.
What? Give me some ideas. I don't mind signing stuff. My signature is horrible, but
no idea. I don't know. Sign one of those boxes behind you. You can sign an empty box. Who wants an empty box from Barry signed, mailed to them straight?
I don't know. It doesn't compete with the catchers.
From Search Engine Roundtable, coming soon, new Google Search Editorial Content Policies for job postings. In addition to, this is probably awkward to summarize your article in front of you. In addition to new direct apply property for job postings, we'll talk about in a second, Google also announced that new editorial content policies for job postings on Google Search are coming. These new policies go into effect on October 1st, 2021. I'm sure they'll move the deadline, they always do, and aim to improve the quality of search results and develop new functionality within the product, so said Google. So things like making sure that you have removed expired job posts, making sure that the job post date is genuine. Why would you lie about that? Also not including wrong information or having spamming job postings. All sorts of that not having all sorts of that will help you on Google Search. Barry's your article. Where are we taking this one?
That's not your browser scrolling through it, is it?
No, I don't know. That's Jacob doing that.
That's my browser.
Interesting, because it's like, I think you have ad blocker or something on that.
I might.
Very nice.
It helps with pop-ups and stuff when we're showing it off there. So yeah, I may have an ad blocker.
Yeah, okay. Oh, that's a good point. There are other sites, which we shall not name, that have various pop-ups that are problematic when doing the show.
Yes.
You should disable.
We shall not name.
But I'm going to make it so that when I just need your IP address and some cookies on your browser, so I can make sure to pop things up all over the place.
You got it.
Your show.
I'll send the IP right over.
Send some malware over.
Yeah, no, I mean,
signed by malware, signed by Barry.
Yes, you want some signed malware. There you go. That I could do. Yeah, the job posting stuff is, I guess, not surprising. I mean, even for my company, I have job listings on my website. You know, if you're in New York and you want to be applied to be a programmer at my company, feel free to apply. But I keep it up there. It's not like I have active job listings. I'm always looking for somebody. Yeah, I don't see. I guess Google's kind of cracking down on like making sure they're not expired. But what does that mean to be expired? Some people are always looking for great talent. I assume Google doesn't has some job listings out there for people all the time that are just not expired. So, I mean, obviously, people have been abusing this some way. Obviously, so whenever Google releases some new feature around getting content into Google's database or into Google Search, people abuse it. So maybe this is some of the things that Google has seen around people abusing it, sticking in like their guidance is like, you know, text and images that are just, you know, bad or excessive ads and distracting ads, or content doesn't add value to your job post, including misspellings and stuff like that. Let alone the like, you know, expired job posts or good user experience and stuff like that. So I assume there's some people out there that are trying to abuse this method of getting structured data into Google Search and masking some things around maybe job postings that maybe are not job postings that Google had to apply these new guidelines around.
There are spamming. This is really surprising. Kind of people are jerks, but I've seen like your typical Craigslist job posting. Is Craigslist still around? I don't even live in America anymore. I have no idea. But there are these really spammy job postings that are just kind of crap. So it would be nice if they were removed. I think it's interesting, by the way, that you kind of see Google sort of profiling the site from a quality perspective. I think they're doing this across the board. It's interesting to see that why it's taken so long for job postings or job sites to feel the wrath of Google's focus on quality. But it's a good point. I didn't think about that. If you have an open job over, you're always looking for talent. Does that mean you now have to refresh the listing every month? Just change the date?
I guess if you want to put structured data on it, which makes sense, I guess. But I don't have structured data on my job posts. I'm not a job site, so I figured leave it. And I assume a lot of people don't want to work for me because of my sarcasm.
and your dry sense of humor? I thought that was a selling point. I thought that you should put it in the job ad. Do you love working with sarcastic people with dry senses of humor? Apply to Rusty Brick.
It's funny because I just had somebody come back to work for me. We had a business that we kind of like, I guess, I don't know how to describe it. But basically, the person went off and worked for that business, and then they came back to us working this week, which is nice. So I guess it's not a horrible place to work if they want to come back and work for us afterwards. But yeah, I agree. I mean, we should have that in the structured data, like what the sarcasm levels are. Is the boss good? Is the boss bad? Yeah.
I mean, you heard it here first. Sarcasm is a ranking factor for job listings.
I believe I have a blog post on that. I should Google it. Is sarcasm a ranking factor? Because Google's very sarcastic. I mean, if you look at internally, their humor, sarcasm's up there.
There's a lot of sarcasm, particularly among some of the Googlers more than others even.
Yeah, I have about, I don't know, I think several blog posts about sarcasm and how Google handles that from a content perspective.
Right, that's a real legit thing, right?
Humor internally. Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. By the way, this is part of the direct apply structured data update, which is cool, by the way, because nothing is more annoying than going to a listing, applying or attempting to apply, and then realizing you have to spend the next 5 hours filling out forms just to get to the application.
I thought it was more about people just couldn't figure out where to apply after they clicked the link. It was just confusing. And in that case, I don't know if you want to work for a company like that, but this basically reduces the clicks to actually go to the application and actually applying. I hope you don't have to apply. How many applications do you have to fill out to apply? Do you apply for a seminar?
No, have you never had that where they have to fill out a survey before you get to the actual application kind of thing? Like you don't actually go directly to the app or application.
I never applied for a job, so I don't know.
Maybe you should look into that.
You think I need to hire?
I
have to hire. Are you looking to hire?
SEMrush, yeah, we have job openings. You want to come on board?
I wouldn't apply. I think.
No, I know people. I know somebody.
All right, so send me a link to the application. Maybe I'll try to apply.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah, I think this is about just basically making it faster to apply either directly on Google Search, like you hit apply and you don't have to leave Google Search, which goes back to the whole Rand Fishkin thing. Right. Or two, just a quick. There is such a delay. It's great.
Are you saying I have a delay?
I make the joke and I wait 4 seconds and then then you chime in. So either you're delayed in terms of understanding my humor, or it's just there's actually.
No, I'm not an idiot. Yes, you're saying the whole Rand Fishkin thing. You're saying in the Google ecosystem, Google is evil, that sort of thing.
No, I mean in terms of keeping this person on your website. So it looks like Google is going to let you apply for certain jobs directly on Google Search, as opposed to going to that job site or going to the website that's hiring you. Or if that job site doesn't want to allow you to do that, there is a way to go right to the application form directly on that job site.
By the way, if you want to be critical of Google doing that, LinkedIn does the same thing. You can apply directly through their LinkedIn listing. So let's be fair.
I think every job site does that, right? Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got to plug SEO Chat. SEO Chat is this Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitter. Guess who's hosting? Who's got two thumbs is pointing right to themselves. It's me. I'm hosting. I'm sorry. I apologize. But I am hosting SEO Chat this week every once in a while, like every couple of months. I feel like I have to host it myself, which I don't know why I feel that obligation, but I do. We're talking about the future of SEO, not from a cliched point of view. I never do cliche. So looking at how the CMSs have evolved, I know a thing or two about that, how Google's looking at usability and UX and how those things might become a more central part of SEO going forward, and what the development of web platforms means for doing SEO going forward. So it's SEO for the future, but not from a fluff cliched point of view. It's 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, and that's it. I'm done plugging that. That's it for Edge news this week. You might want to check out the recent interview podcast with Garrett Sussman, good guy, regarding the agency and client relationship. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to get updated when we go live with our next show. From all of us over at Edge, stay safe, stay well, and don't be a piece of cyber driftwood.